Alan Dershowitz, the famed law professor who has created a lot of controversy recently in his support of Donald Trump, he's out with a brand new book. It's called Get Trump. And he joins us right now. There's the book. Professor Dershowitz, good to see you. What a perfect title. This is about all the stuff going on right now, right?
Right. And the title Get Trump is not original with me. It's the campaign promise that the Attorney General and the District Attorney of New York campaigned on, promising to get Trump. And they got elected. And then they rummaged through all the statute books to try to figure out a way of getting Trump. And they couldn't find any real statutes that he had violated. So they made up a case against him. For the first time in American history, somebody has been indicted for failure to disclose the payment of hush money to prevent the disclosure of an alleged adulterous affair with a former porn star. That's not happened since the day that Alexander Hamilton paid hush money to prevent his affair from being made public.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but they really hate him. And I think it tells you a lot about maybe the money in politics and how aggressive this has become. As a legal scholar, what do you think of what Bragg's done?
Oh, I think it's just awful. In 60 years of litigating cases, criminal cases, I've never seen a weaker indictment. There is no misdemeanor. There is no felony. You can criticize Trump for paying hush money and getting a non-disclosure agreement, but thousands of Americans have done that over the years. That's just not criminal conduct. And so they're going after him in every possible way. And in my book, Get Trump, I go over all four of the charges against him. The weakest is the New York charge by Bragg. But then there's the Fulton County charge in Georgia, where he stated on a recorded telephone conversation that he wanted to find votes that weren't counted. He didn't say create. He didn't say concoct. He said find. Find means they're there. So there's no case there. And there's no case in the District of Columbia, in my view, because he said that he wanted his people to go to the Capitol and protest peacefully and patriotically. Of course, the January 6th committee doctored the tape to leave out those words, peacefully and patriotically. And as far as Florida is concerned, unless they go after the current president and the former vice president who also had classified material in their possession, it would be hard politically to justify singling out Trump for going after him. They didn't go after Hillary Clinton criminally either.
Professor Dershowitz, I have always considered you one of the most brilliant legal minds of our generation. Just, top. I also used to always think you were like super liberal, no offense. But, you've come out sort of full force in defense of the law here. Walk me through that sort of, and I don't know your politics now. I do know that you don't seem to like what's going on from a legal perspective in that sense. What has that sort of transformation been like, and how are you treated as a result of it?
Transformed at all. I'm a civil liberties liberal. I defended the right of communists back when I was a college student, even though I hated communism. I defended the rights of Nazis to walk in Skokie, Illinois, even though I obviously hate Nazism. I defended many people who I despise and many ideas that I despise. I'm a civil libertarian. And I defended Bill Clinton. I defended Ted Kennedy. I defended Senator Alan Cranston from California. So most of the people I've defended have been Democrats, but I'm not going to pick political sides when it comes to the Constitution. President Trump was unconstitutionally impeached. And so I came to his defense and his support on behalf of the Constitution. So my political views haven't changed. I'm still planning to vote liberal Democrat if they put up a good candidate. I'm not going to vote for AOC. I'm not going to vote for Bernie Sanders. I'm not going to vote for the crazy radicals in the Democratic Party.
Would you vote for Biden?
I would vote for Biden, depending on his health and his situation, but I would vote for him. I have a problem voting for the ticket of Biden and Kamala Harris because of Biden's age. And I, at this point, don't think Kamala Harris would necessarily make the best possible president. But I'm going to hold my views in abeyance to see who the candidates are on the other side. I don't decide who I vote for until really the day of election. I don't believe in early voting, by the way. I think all voting should be done on the same day on election day, except for soldiers and people who can't possibly come to the polls. Because, the election isn't over until the election is over. And I don't like people voting early before the debates or before people should have made up their mind.
We're talking with Alan Dershowitz. He is the author of the brand new book, Get Trump, very appropriately titled. And it's great to hear from somebody who is a purist in this sense. I mean, to me, the legal profession needs people that are willing to defend anyone, right? Because isn't that part of our culture? Isn't it part of our history that everybody deserves a fair trial and the ability to find a good defense attorney? It seems like that's all changed ever since, I don't know, 2016. I mean, it feels like there is an establishment that's really rooted against those that might be affiliated with Trump or have anything to do with Trump, including you. I think that you've sort of faced some of those consequences yourself, sir.
No doubt about that. There's an organization, a McCarthyite organization called Project 65, which has as an explicit goal to get disbarred or disciplined any lawyer who had anything to do with Donald Trump. And they're going after lawyers like me and other lawyers around the country, trying to make it impossible to defend people like this. They are in complete violation of the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution, and I'm fighting back. I've offered to defend, free of charge, any lawyer who is subject to Project 65's McCarthyite attack. So what do you think they did after I made that offer? They filed a bar complaint against me, which is inevitable. And people don't want to defend controversial clients anymore because, as some lawyer put it to me, I don't want to be Dershowitz. I don't want to have happen to me what happened to you. Nobody on Martha's Vineyard is speaking to you. For example,
What about at Harvard?
Caroline Kennedy, the daughter of the President of the United States, current ambassador to Australia, was seated next to me at a dinner party. And she said, if I knew you had been invited, I never would have come because you defended Trump. I said, Caroline, but I also defended your uncle, Ted Kennedy, against homicide charges. And you loved me for that. Well, that's different. Senator Kennedy is different than Trump. And everybody thinks Trump is different. The Constitution was designed to protect different people who are the subject of unique and singular criticism, people who have been targeted for prosecution the way Trump has. In my book, Get Trump, I go over and over again the policies that have been directed against Trump and his lawyers and anybody and his family members and his businesses and anybody associated with him. And that reminds me of what happened in Stalin's Soviet Union, where the head of the KGB said to Stalin, show me the man and I'll find you the crime. And that's what they're doing. They're searching for crimes to charge Donald Trump with to prevent him from successfully running for president again.
What about the other side? I mean, because yes, I mean, there's been a lot of controversy about Hunter Biden, the laptop, whether there's any money connections back to the Biden family. Do you see it as happening on both sides, or is it just predominantly directed towards Trump, directed towards conservatives? But yeah, Trump.
99% directed toward Trump. Obviously, Democrats and Republicans play tit for tat politics. And so there's going to be efforts to try to get Hunter Biden too. That's just as wrong if, in fact, he didn't commit crimes. If he did commit crimes, by all means, people go after him. But he shouldn't be singled out. Just the other day, his lawyers met with the Justice Department lawyers. And I suspect that may end up resulting in some kind of a plea bargaining or a deal with Hunter Biden. But nobody can be sure. But the law has to be equal. It has to apply equally to conservatives and liberals, Republicans and Democrats. And that's not being done today. Get Trump has become the mantra of law enforcement. And that affects all of us. Today, it's Trump. Tomorrow, it's you. The next day, it's your niece or nephew. If the government has the power to target people, if prosecutors run for office on the promise to get Trump, that will destroy the American legal system. In the book, Get Trump, do you get into any of the money behind this? Because obviously it takes a lot of firepower to get these DAs elected, to have this kind of political cause for them. Is money a factor in this? There's no question about that. And we know that George Soros has put a lot of money into trying to elect progressive district attorneys, many of whom are now participating in the process of getting Trump. And I want to make one point very clear, because a lot of people say, oh, if you attack George Soros, who happens to be Jewish, you must be an anti-Semite. Let me make it very clear. I'm Jewish. I'm certainly not an anti-Semite, and I attack George Soros. People can be attacked on the merits. You don't have to worry about being called an anti-Semite if you attack somebody who happens to be Jewish, who's doing bad things for our country. And I think George Soros is doing bad things for our country.
Mm-hmm. So the money that goes into all of this, recently Eric Trump got into a little bit of hot water because he had tweeted something in defense of his father, making some accusations about the money trail. And the judge said, no, you have to take that down. I'm just curious, do you not have the right as a citizen? If it were my dad and somebody who was, making accusations, I might take to my Twitter account too. I was a little perplexed by that, just from a legal standpoint. I'm not a legal expert. I can tell you about the economy, not necessarily the law, but instinctively, just with my First Amendment familiarity, it perplexed me.
You know more about the law than the judges who were telling Eric Trump that defend his father. Of course he can. The First Amendment allows a son to defend his father on Twitter. And, there's a whole big issue, too, about whether or not social media is today too influenced by judges and by government officials and by campaigns. But a son has the right to defend his father, and no court under the First Amendment can stop that from happening.
It's crazy times. I mean, you've had a legendary career. How does now stack up to what you've seen in the past?
It's much worse. I went through McCarthyism as a kid. I was a president of the student body at Brooklyn College, and I defended the right of communists, who I hated. I despised communists, but I defended their right to teach. And that was the old-fashioned McCarthyism. The president of the university wouldn't write me a recommendation because of that. He thought I was a, quote, fellow traveler, which I wasn't. And today it's right-wing McCarthyism, which is more dangerous. It's left-wing McCarthyism, which is more dangerous because it's young people. And it's the people who are going to be our future, the people who are going to be the leaders of this country in 20 years. So I worry for the future of our country and for civil liberties. And I urge everybody, Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservatives, to join me in my campaign to preserve freedom of speech, due process, the right to counsel, and the fundamental aspects of the Bill of Rights, all of which are under danger today from left-wing McCarthyism.
Important stuff. Can I see the book again?
Sure.
Everybody take a peek. Get Trump, just out.
Get it on Amazon, and it was an Amazon bestseller, but local bookstores wouldn't sell it. They didn't like the title Get Trump. And so local bookstores weren't selling it. So the only place you can get it was Amazon or I think Barnes and Noble. So please read the book, and I think that will send a powerful message to those who are trying to get Trump.